Okay, hello. Hopefully you can hear me. Actually, this thing might be a bit loud, so we will get the music to shush. But yeah, you can actually hear me now. Wow, very cool. Um, so, do you want me to do a watch and make it so we sit here for 20 minutes going through each grid, or do you want me to actually have some pace to it and just get on with it? As I could sit here and annoy you all day, but I don't want to do that. So, let's pace. You want us to go through it? You have until the All-Star starts yet? Okay. Well, we got 50 minutes. We'll take 5 to 10 minutes max each grid, because we got 4 to go through. So, let me load up this before we move on to our first grid. So, okay. We are going to be starting with, sorry to everyone on Steam, but we're starting with the Origin/Xbox grid, which is something new for this season. It is, well, going to be a new tier, anyways. I'm just failing at speaking right now. Anyway, so new tier, Origin Xbox is going to be the only thing for crossplay. So let me load this up now, and you will be able to see. So there you go. This is the grid for Origin and X-Play. So I will go through it now. There's a total of 13 drivers on the grid. So we didn't get a full sign up, but we're obviously looking to get more drivers to sign up and to complete this grid, probably before the season starts or early on in the season, to get, you know, at least somewhat of a grid, so it's not just 13 people driving around the track constantly, because I'm sure people would much rather have a full grid. So starting with Mercedes, I'm just going to say this is going to be very quick because I don't really know much about these drivers, but we have Felipe and Garcia. I should actually get something up to help me with this, because otherwise I'm just going to be reading names that I have no clue about. So, let me load up the recruitment standings, because that will give me some sort of idea of how everyone is. So, okay. Garcia was one of the quicker drivers, actually, on the sign-ups. Interesting to look at. As Arjen wants me to go with more pace, and then Felipe also on Origin, so Mercedes is full with 2 Origin drivers. Then we have Red Bull, which it consists of, is it 2 Xbox drivers, I think? Yeah, 2 Xbox drivers in Red Bull. Ferrari, where we see our first star. So Wodge sent me the images for these to do this, and he said, and I had to ask Liam what the stars meant. It means ones to watch drivers or something, or drivers to look out for. So Jimmy Anchuk, he was placed in PCF2 last season, as we are going to test crossplay there, and then it fell to pieces, sadly. And we have Jatkovsky, who I don't know how he did in the debut drivers race. I probably should have watched that. But that's another full Xbox team. Then McLaren is empty. Alpine has Demjik, who is on Origin, and runs no assists. Very nice. Followed by another no assist driver of Simon Aberg in AlphaTauri, who is the only driver on that team at the moment. Then we have an all-star driver and 2 former PCF4 drivers from last season, with Camille and Kieran Rayner. As Camille has been marked as a ones to watch. He's also the driver on the image that is being used. Thanks, Watch. As the stars, like I said, means wants to watch drivers or drivers who Watch thought was going to stand out, essentially. I don't know, it seems a bit biased from him personally. I don't know, I'm just not going to try and get myself fired. Anyways, so yeah, moving on to Williams, there is no one there. And then Alfa Romeo, where you have Simelski and Stan, who are both on Origin, and that's interesting to look at. I'll give you my brief predictions of this grid, and then Haas has just Baron in there, who is on Xbox. So a mix of Xbox and Origin drivers on the grid, so it should be interesting. Just looking at recruitment standards, if you want, because Wodge normally does this, and making predictions, there's quite a few drivers who could definitely fight here. Definitely leaning towards the idea of Ferrari and Alfa Romeo being competitive teams. But I don't want to give too much away, as you know, sign-ups are only sign-ups, they can't tell the full story. So, yeah. Anyways, we will next move on to the PCF free grid. Let's reload back onto this. And we will go now to PCF free. So, this grid is very interesting. I like this one a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. There's some very interesting drivers in here, I will say. I'm sure it's going to make for a very entertaining and competitive tier. So, starting off in Mercedes, you've got Claudio Herbert and Tamas Kovac, a former PCF4 and PCF3 driver, teaming up in Mercedes this season to tackle the lowest tier on PC. As definitely a team that can do stuff, and but they'll probably score a good amount of points. As next up is the Polish duo in Red Bull of Kopylowski and Ziemianchuk. Kopylowski was in PCF3 last season and Ziemianchuk in F2. Ziemianchuk actually scored a good amount of points in F2. So definitely a driver who can make a statement in this tier, I feel. Then I'm not meant to give any biased opinions, but personally, that Ferrari team, which we're going to talk about now, is very nice. I'd really like the Ferrari team. As it is Maciej Czurek and Michel Snape. As well, as you can see, it's going to be an interesting tier. They are were both in PCF3 last season, both scoring a good amount of points last season. I think they were both around the 60 mark. They might have a bit more by the end. I could have a look, but yeah, I believe they're both in the top 10 of the standings. I'll actually go check. Season PC. Yeah, I'll just get them all up. That's probably a really good idea. I should have done this beforehand. But yeah, Churlick and Snape, I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting tier. Someone says, what is Freddie Rasmussen doing in tier 3? That's not Frederick Rasmussen, mate. Then you've got the McLarens of Rafael Faraz and Oscar Eberson. Rafael was near the top end of PCF4 last season, if I remember correctly. And I'm sure he's going to do well in this grid as well this season. And then he's alongside Oscar Eberson in the McLaren. And, well, I think as a team they can do well. And you've definitely got two good drivers in that team. As then we'll have a look at Alpine there. You have Gabor Varga and Jack Andrews. Jack Andrews being a driver who runs no assists at all, which fair play to him. And Gabor Varga was also in F4 last season, where Jack Andrews started. Made a few appearances in F2 and F1, and where he did score. Did he score a few points in F2? I think he did. He either did or I'm stupid. Probably did. No, he did. He scored points at Abu Dhabi. So he's definitely got the pace to challenge in this tier. As him we have the AlphaTauri combination of Adam Baki and Yanne Tuivasa. As I can't find the PCF3 standings, which is really annoying me. Adam Baki, I believe, is a debut driver. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But I'm not good at remembering this stuff. I am, it's just I haven't remembered it right now, and that's, yeah, that's my fault, sorry. But yeah, and then Tuivasa, where did he finish in PCF3? Come on, I'm not this useless at finding stuff. That's PSF3. I'll just go load it from here. There we go. I've got it now. And Tuivasa was 15th. Got on the podium, to be fair, so he could do well. As then we have Marek Ivanek and Jacob Klapper. Ivanek has been pointed out with a star, so I'll do watch pred and talk about Ivanek. Ivanek finished P5 in the standings of F3 last season, and well, with other drivers moving, Ivanek could definitely be towards the top of this tier based on this grid, and I think Ivanek's gonna potentially be in the fight here for maybe a title, I could say. And then Jacob Klapper was in F4. Only did about half the season, but managed to score a good haul of points, just placing inside the top 10. And I think the Aston Martin team's pretty decent, to be fair. They can definitely... Yeah, I'm not going to say if they can compete for first, because I'm not like Wodge, who's just going to go out and specifically say where everyone's going to finish. But yeah, let's just keep going and get moving, because, I don't know, do you even want to watch the PS All-Star race? I don't know. If you want to watch it, you can. But, yeah, or you can watch me waffle about grids. Anyways, Williams, Halcon Marlin, runner-up in PCF2 last season. Now jumps PCF2, PCF4. Oh my. And is now in Williams with Belak as his teammate for this season. What tier was Belak in? F3, I want to say. Was Belak a new driver? I'm useless at this. No, yeah, Belak was in F3 last season. He joined towards the end of the season, and he's back again this season, which is nice to see. As yes, Adam, I didn't mean runner up in F4. Anyways, Belak was F3. Thank you, Quill. I know you'll remember F1 from your tier. But yeah, I was great. But Halkett has been pointed out again as a driver to watch. And, well, I would agree. Almost won the title. Wasn't too far off. The gap was 6 points in the end. And he lost out to his teammate, who is not his teammate anymore. But yeah. Next up is Alfa Romeo with Bakalik, who was P19 in the standings. Didn't have the best start to the season, but managed to start scoring points towards the end. And maybe he can carry that form from the end of the season into this one, as that would be ideal for him. Could score a good amount of points this season. As Quill says, Hauke deserves the title. Well, maybe he can collect one here in F3 this season instead. Joining Bakalik is Morten Schulze, who was in F4 last season. I know that one. And he scored 16 points. Got a second place in Austria Sprint, to be fair. Maybe he enjoys sprint races. But Morten, I wonder how he can do this season. I reckon there's a lot of people on this grid who could have a good season. It depends if they get it together. I've tried to send as least offensive, or I could just go completely unfiltered and just say whatever rubbish I want because it'd be funny. But I'm not going to do that. Anyways, then you have David Hoy and Adam Lapage in Haas making the full British Haas team, which is weird. I can't lie. But anyways, definitely one of the stronger teams on this to point out, alongside what I'd say so far would be your likes of Red Bull, Ferrari, just from looking at them, maybe Aston Williams you can look at as well, definitely. And yeah, they'd be decent. They should do decent this season, I think. David Hoyt was racing last season. Adam Lepage retired, then came back, then retired again, then came back again. I don't know. He did some weird stuff. Anyways, then we have the reserves where you have Alfie Harvey, which is quite ironic considering he was a PCF1 driver last season, and I'm sure Quill's very happy that Alfie was their teammate. Then you've got Kumar, who is a debut driver as well as a reserve. I remember. Oh, Ian. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Anyways, then you've got Benjamin Woodford, Rodrigo Martins, and Bjorn Rasmussen. Rounding them off as they were all in F4 actually last season. So stepping up to F3, which there is only 3 PC tiers. So yeah. Okay, now we move on to PCF2. Sorry I have to keep swapping to this, but I've messed up my OBS in a way where I have to. So, on to PCF2, and, well, this is a very nice grid to look at. Very nice, Squill. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting grid. Oh, I forgot to mention, PCF3 races Fridays at 7. How did I forget to mention that? I don't know. But sorry if anyone actually wanted to know what time you race at. It's Fridays at 7. So, PCF2, and I'll start with it this time, races Saturdays at 7. Before I forget again. But we're starting off with... Yeah, oh, yeah. Thanks, Ian. That is UK time, by the way. Which is what all the times are on the server. So, you should be able to figure that out. 7 PM UK PCF3 on a Friday. And 7 PM UK for PCF2 on a Saturday. Starting off with Mercedes, you've got Raymond Geertzma and Jordan Kent. Jordan Kent runner-up in F2. Geertzma was 6th with a few podiums in F4. One of the drivers who you'd see regularly competing at the front. As yes, Mitch, we have to make it a podcast every season. That's the whole point. It's meant to be 10 hours long. Yeah. So we'll go a bit quicker. Jordan Kent, obviously runner-up, like I said. Missed out on the title by 27 points. That's not bad. Then we have Joe Fagali and Lucas McGinty in Red Bull, who have both been marked with a star, interestingly. McGinty was 3rd in last season's F2 season. And had a very good season. And Joe Fagali was 6th. So as a team, that is a pretty strong combo, to be fair. Quill, no, I don't have a minute and a half to finish. I'll sit here and waffle for hours on end. Anyways, you then have Ferrari, which is Adam Shostak, and Ericsson, who is... Oh, interesting. Daniel Ericsson, who is a debut driver, is what I was trying to say. As Shostak was in F3 last season. I believe he joined later on in the season. And now is racing in F2. As Daniel Ericsson is joining him this season in the Ferrari. Then you've got a duo from last season returning of Bodian and Imtiaz. Imtiaz obviously missing out on the title by 15 points in the end. While Bodian struggled last season, did miss quite a few races though. And I think he'll be looking to turn that around this season, definitely. As Yeah, as Adam says that he thinks that they could fight for the title. Interesting. So, okay. Anyways, moving on. Alpine. You have Shienko and Tuabti, both in F3 last season. Tuabti got fourth and won 4 races. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a driver who's. I mean, makes sense that he's been moved up. And he joins. And he's alongside Shienko, who were raced a few times throughout the season. Got P4 at Brazil in the finale, which is nice for him. But yeah, then moving on to AlphaTauri, you got AJ Modi, who was in at the start in F2 at the start of last season, and a debut driver of I'm gonna have to just Findison. Someone from Germany, please help. I'm great at pronouncing names if you can't tell. That's a complete lie. I'm awful at it. Yeah. So that is AlphaTauri. Then you got Aston Martin, which is Dino Pushkadia, the F2 champion, alongside Marko Dordovic. That is, yeah, very strong team. And, well, I think it's quite obvious that from the get-go that they're going to be fighting for the constructors here. As, well, Dino, we know what Dino can do. Dino's won 3 constructors titles and 2 drivers titles in ERO already. And I think that Dino's going to be looking to make that a 3rd consecutive title and a 4th consecutive constructors title. But one thing to know is, if you've got Dino on your team, you're going to win something at some point. It's more like Finderson, but it's alright, okay. Thank you. But yeah, that's just a natural thing. Apparently, if you're with Dino, you do well. So, Dino's in the chat. Interesting indeed. Yeah. So, now we'll move on to a full Polish Williams team of Adam Matusiak and Hilecki. Who I believe is a debut driver. He might not be. Maybe he raced a few seasons ago and I can't remember. But Adam Matusiak has been around for quite a bit now. Finished 13th in last season's PC F2 and has made the swap from Red Bull to Williams for this season. So, yeah, it's interesting to see what that team can do. Definitely a wild card to watch. Then you've got Alfa Romeo, which has Paul Palacios, who actually won a PCF2 race last season. After that was actually the one he raced 2 times. He was an F4 driver, came into F2 and won on his first time of asking, which was kind of ridiculous, to be fair. That was a great race to commentate over. Poor from you, Luke. Alright, I'm going to now go back, and we're going to go back to Aston Martin. I'm going to give a full fact file on Dordovic now. So, Dordovic finished 9th, got 3 podiums, did start the season in F1, moved down to F2. You know, there you go. Anyways, didn't do his research, not my presentator. Do you not like my slideshow? It's not even a slideshow, it's just a bunch of OBS screens. Anyways, I should have done it on like a PowerPoint or something. That would have been way more entertaining. I did some like cool effects and stuff. But yeah, no video. Yeah, we got no video this year. We're poor. The budget's gone down. Shocking, really. The cost cap has affected us from being able to invest in the league. So you just have to put up with what you get for this season. Anyways, enough of me chatting absolute rubbish. Back to Alfa Romeo. Palacios is joined by Kasper Matizak in the Alfa Romeo. As Mitch, shut up. Yeah, Kasper Matizak is also a debut driver this season. And yeah, joins Paul Palacios at Alfa Romeo. So then on to Haas, where you have Richard de Comte and Bart Jr. Van der Castile as That is the longest name I've seen in ERO. I will say that. And well, they've all got 3 different bits of the name. Interestingly, as to anyone who's asking questions in chat about their grid placement, don't ask me. Don't complain at me, complain at other people. I'm just here to chat rubbish about this grid. Yeah. As Quill says, Van der Castile is quite close to me in pace. In a differently interesting. That's interesting to see. So, moving on to the reserves, you've got Robbie Kennable, finished 11th in PCF2 last season. And don't say, also, if you're saying, are you a reserve, or whatever, or I did this, why am I a reserve? Apparently results don't matter, or if you're a returning driver or anything. I don't think that matters. I think it's just fully based on your sign-up times. So, yeah, there you go. Then we have Leandro Riguero swapping over from PlayStation to PC. I'm interested to see how he can do on PC. Why did you do this? You did this. What are you on about? Question, can I sign up as comms? I can't lie. I think we've already got about 47 people who want to be a commentator on PC. So, I mean, you can sign up, but we've already got about 47 people, so yeah. Then, as reserves, you got Pim Grunewagen was in PCF3 last season, and finally, the F4 champion Benny Besic, who is promptly not happy in chat. What's Johnny talking about 47 for? Did I say something about 47? I don't know. 47 comes and still no one's able to do them. Yeah. There's a lot of people, I think. Oh, 47 comms. I just made up a number out of thin air. Ignore me. You know what I'm like. I'll just start waffling at some point. But yeah, Benny did win PCF4 last season. And is now jumping into F2. Couldn't do F3, which is where I think he was originally placed when I was first looking at the grid. So then got moved to F2 as a reserve. But yeah. Now, we are moving on to the PCF1 tier. Now, what you'll probably normally do a, what's it called? Small, like, reveal doing a bit at a time, but, yeah, I'm not interested or technically set up to do that. So, PCF1 it is. And this is the grid for PCF1 this season. So, starting off at Mercedes, we have Jack Carrington and Julio Figueira, both from the same team, NLR. I don't know if it's called teams or whatever. I don't put random things in front. Actually, I do put random things in front of my name just to take the mick. But anyways, yeah. So Mercedes is a strong team to say the least. I remember both of them from a Japan social race were very strong. And they both turned up towards the end of last season. I think I remember fighting Jack Harrington in Spain, to be fair. Interesting. As he's been marked out as a star driver for this season, or a ones to watch driver. So I probably should talk about Jack Harrington, but he finished P7 in Spain, and has shown that definitely he could have some pace alongside Figueira. They both could definitely be a dangerous team and definitely wants a team to look out for. As then moving on to Red Bull, you have me and a debut driver of Hugo Nilsson. as Ivanek. Whereas Keeler, Keeler was requested, I believe, well, from what Wodge told me, Keeler is not driving this season. So, yeah, we don't have Keeler on the grid, unfortunately. Although I think was he placed in F1? Until, no, I think he literally said as we were making the grids to watch. So yeah, you've got me and Hugo. Myself, I'm not going to talk about myself because I don't want to, but yeah, I finished P7 in the standings. I didn't get a podium last season, and I guess I'm just allergic to podiums. Yeah, that's all I've got about me really. And then my teammate Hugo, ERO doesn't really know anything about him, so I'm not going to discuss on him too much. But I'm hoping that we don't finish P10 in the standings, and that's all I'm saying. Although we're probably going to finish P10 in the standings as we're just going to be taking the mick every single race and not really trying, I guess, probably. Anyways, moving on to Ferrari, and, well, Ferrari stayed exactly the same. There's been no move in there, as you've got Ian Bilbas and Jonathan Foss once again. Don't say it with a H, otherwise you don't deserve to speak to Johnny. And he won't be happy with you. But Johnny had to miss a good portion of last season due to wheel issues, so placed P9 after that, to be fair. Best of the rest. Although he would have probably been fighting at the front if not for those issues, so yeah. And then you have Arjen, who was P3 in the standings. Arjen's always a driver who can turn up and put in good performances. As well, in the constructors last season as a team, they finished second. They were 299 points behind Red Bull. We're not going to discuss why Red Bull were that good. They just were, and you just have to deal with it. It's not going to happen again this season. So if you enjoy Red Bull winning, I'm sorry. I'm ruining it for you this season. But maybe Ferrari can win. Definitely a strong team. As moving on to another strong team, you've got Ryan Grob and Tim Bayer in McLaren, and yeah, that's gonna be a interesting team to compete against. Tim Bayer, a new driver, but when you put in Ryan Grob as a teammate pick, and he's putting you, then yeah, I reckon they're going to be definitely one to watch out for. Bayer being the fastest sign-up time out of people who had to do the sign-ups as well. Something else to note. So he'll probably slot in with the about, like, I say 6, 7 people at the front towards the end of the season who were consistently there until, like, they drove into each other. And people such as me would end up, like, sick, and I'd be like, what's going on? But yeah, moving on to Alpine, we have Kasper Niemczyk making a return to ERO this season, and I believe he holds a record for the longest DNF streak, I want to say. On PC, definitely. I don't know if it's across all of ERO, but he retired 15 races in a row, I believe, which probably isn't the stat you want me to be reading out. I'm sorry, it's just something I know off the top of my head. But he's a quick driver, and if he can keep it on the track, he could definitely score some good results. And he's been joined by former PCF2 driver Mateusz Dorotsky, who was a very, very competitive driver last season. Came in after a few rains, won 2 races, and if he'd been there all season, he would probably be pretty much right where his teammate is in the championship. Maybe he would have beaten him, maybe not. I don't know. Right, yeah, Alpine's got a good lineup. Someone else who's got a good lineup now is AlphaTauri. The champion's back, and he's moved from Red Bull to AlphaTauri. I'm not going to say why, but anyways, and he's going to be joined by a debut driver of Hugo Caballero, finished 3rd, I want to say, in the... Was it 3rd or 4th in the debut driver's race? I know he was at the front, but I don't know if he ended up at the front. As... well, you already know that team's gonna be fighting, probably for the constructors. And well, we know Tony's going to be fighting for the championship as, well, last season he was dominant. He was 110 points clear of second place in the standings, which was Cameron Dowds. And he won a grand total of 5 races throughout the season, was on the podium more times than he wasn't. He actually started the season with a streak of 9 podiums in a row, 3 of those being race wins. Then he missed out in Spa and France and Abu Dhabi in the second half of the season, otherwise he could have got a podium in every race. But yeah, it's very good from Tony. Next up is Aston Martin with Carol Veach and Fraser Robertson. Carol Veach is a debut driver, as Rabbi's just said in chat. Veach is going to need to clean up his racing. Just, I hope we don't have anyone who gets about 20 penalty points, it feels like, this season. Because there's definitely room for improvement from last season, I will say, in F1. But that's just me saying stuff in the nicest way possible. Anyways, so Carl Veach, debut driver, as he's going to be joined by Fraser Robertson. Fraser Robertson, how did he do? 23 points, P14 in the standings. That's not bad. Just picked up points here and there throughout the season. And, well, I think Fraser's definitely someone who can do that. He'll find his way into the points here and there. And, well, we'll see if he can maybe score points a bit more often this season, although the grid's not gotten any easier to score points. If anything, it's just got way more competitive. But yeah, moving on to Williams, you've got Diogo Morais and Quil Pavlakovic. Diogo is, well, he's come to dominate PC. He swapped halfway through the season, or came to PC halfway through the season, and scored 121 points. If it raced the whole season, he wouldn't have quite done enough to win the championship, although Tony's points would be slightly less, but I don't think it would have been close. But yeah, Diogo is definitely one to watch, as he's been marked as. And Williams is a strong team. Apart from that, you've got the quill issue, aka skill issue, on that team, so that could prevent them from winning the constructors. I'm sorry for saying that. I shouldn't be slating people. Actually, Woj should probably just start complaining about people halfway through, so you know what, I'll do it too. But yeah. The quill issue. Yes. Yes, Quill, you have a good team, mate. You might be able to win the constructors as long as you do well yourself. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to Alfa Romeo, and, well, there's no wonder it's Alfa Romeo. You've got Drake Dempsey, who is an Alfa Romeo Esports Academy driver, or I guess it's called Academy driver. But yeah, he managed to just jump in, get a guaranteed seat just because it's Drake Dempsey, and yeah, well, he might be in esports sometime soon. You never know. We'll just have to find out if he makes it or not. If you want to wish for him to make it, go ahead. If you don't, you don't have to. As he's going to be joined by Ferry Wagner, another driver who's moved over from PlayStation. I believe Wagner's won a title before. I want to say Season 5, F2 or F3. It was one of the... I reckon it was F2. Or he was runner-up or something. But I know that he definitely, if he can get it together, that's going to be a very strong team and difficult to beat. There's a lot of teams that are strong here. I'm looking at that box of 4 there. Ferrari, Williams, McLaren, Alfa Romeo. That's going to be, I think, your top 4 teams this season. if you want to know who's going to be the bottom team, that's going to be Red Bull. And then, to be fair, teams like Mercedes, Haas, who I'm about to move on to, AlphaTauri. It depends how many points Tony scores, really. Hugo, we don't know much about Hugo, but he could also definitely help out in that fight. Haas also could, yeah. Pretty much anyone could be in the fight on their day. Apart from me, because I've got a quill issue at this game now. But yeah. Moving on from Alfa Romeo, we have Haas here, who have Cameron Doubts, runner-up last season. Cameron is mega quick, and I reckon he's going to show it this season. He raced about the same amount of races as Diogo, and got 170 points. He missed 6 rounds all season. If he didn't miss 6 rounds, because he wasn't here for the first 5, again, he could have challenged for the title. I think it would have been Tony, Cameron, and Diogo on a full season. And that would have been brilliant to see. And that's hopefully what we're going to see this season. Maybe even Drake, if he turns up enough. But yeah, the grid is absolutely stacked this season for F1, which is interesting to see. I'm not happy because it means I have to try more, and I don't want to. So now I'm sad. But yeah, joining Cameron in the Haas is Marvin Murr, who was in PCF2 at the start of the season. Won 2 races, the other 2 were on a podium. Came into F1. Didn't score in Australia. Got a race ban in Australia. Then he got moved up to F1, and then he scored some decent points throughout the season to finish P11 in the standings. Definitely at the end of the season, he showed a lot more pace, and he was a driver who was improving consistently throughout the season. And I think Marvin is only getting quicker, and I reckon he'll probably be in the fight, not with the very top, but we sort of have this thing going on where we have PCF 1.5, which normally includes almost everyone else, but we'll stick PCF 1.25 in the middle of PCF 1 and PCF 1.5 this time, and we'll make it even more confusing for no apparent reason. And yeah, I'd probably place Marvin in PCF 1.25 with his improvements he's made on his pace. And now, as Ian wants me to, let's talk about the reserves for this tier. So the first reserve is, the second reserve is, the third reserve. Okay, I can't be asked to keep doing this. All I'm gonna say is the sixth reserve is gonna do it. But yeah, there is reserve seats vacant. So if you're very fast and think I want race Nyalm, then yeah. I don't know why I've just done that. But yeah, come and sign up, and you get to race against Drake Dempsey, Tony Rich, Luke Mills, Quill Issue. Yeah. I laugh if there are reserves in the Texas just green. Now this, David, you figured it out. We're now gonna reveal who are the reserves for this sitting. No, we're not. We're not doing that. But yeah, there is your grids then. Before I finish off and say goodbye, thank you all for watching. Is there anyone who'd like me to go back who may have missed their placement? Would you like me to go back to any grids quickly, show stuff or anything? If not, we'll end it there. And yeah. Also, if you want to ask questions, ask me now. We'll do a bit of a ask Luke who knows nothing. Your questions about the season. But yeah, let's see if Wodge thinks my grid revealing skills are any good. You're probably never going to hear me again after this because I haven't done very well at it. So with the Origin tier, is that crossplay? Yeah, it's Origin slash Xbox. So we only had a few sign-ups. We had like 7 each on those platforms, so we sort of just merged them into a grid. Will PS and Steam be able to reserve? No, I don't think that's happening. Because I think the whole point is we're just trying to expand the tier throughout the season, and if we have other people from other tiers, or I mean other platforms coming in and reserving, it'll probably just get really confusing, and it'll also cause more of a mess with crossplay, because having more than 2 platforms on crossplay, especially PlayStation causes the most issues with crossplay. As we got an important question, my favourite question of them all that I was hoping I'd be asked: will I get a podium this season? Well, I'll tell you something. The final round of the season is Jeddah. I'm pretty good at Jeddah. I went from last after getting taken out of Turn 1 to P6 this season. And if there's a championship fight going on, I can assure you someone's going to end up in a wall and I'm going to get on that podium. That will be where I get on the podium. Next question, Adam, will you win a race? No, you won't. You're going to get carried by David, and you're probably going to spin because you use no traction there quite a bit. Maybe if you're in the lead of the race, your internet will cut out, or Steam will randomly throw you off for no reason, like it sometimes does. I will probably be deployed as Minister of Defence. If you want, Quill, we can stay out on alt tyres and we can just make a wall and go site by site around the track. Who will win titles in all tiers? Just choose random people. Right. Origin slash Xbox. Let's go for yeah, let's go for Samelski. Why not? We'll go for Samelski and Alfa Romeo to win constructors. PCF 3. We'll go for yeah, I'm gonna go bold. I'm gonna go away from what everyone thinks I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go for Kasper Ziemianchuk. I think Ziemianchuk is gonna win the title in F3. Probably a call no one was expecting me to say, but I think it's gonna be Ziemianchuk, Hauke Marlin, and David Hoy for the title, and those 3 teams for constructors as well. He was going bold. No, I'm not going that bold. PCF 2, I'm going boring this time, and I'm going to say Dino to win the title and Aston Martin to win the constructors, because whenever you have Dino on your team, Dino wins the title and you win the constructors. It's simple as that. Dordovich could score 2.4 points across the whole season and they'd still win the constructors, because Dino, that's just what happens. Like, Dino just does that. Dino's not winning it. No, Dino is winning it. Even if Dino does 2 races all seasons, Dino will still win it. Like, that's just how it works, Dordovich. Like, don't argue it, it's just how it works. I can't engineer Dino if I'm race director. I mean, you're not a race director because I can't commentate F2, so I've robbed your tier off you, Quill. You've been robbed in broad daylight and you can have F2. Because I can't do Saturdays. Apologies about that. And then PCF1, right. So, I'm going to go for... I want to hear your predictions on this one. Who do you think is going to win? Because it's pretty impossible to predict. I'm going to go Cameron Dodds to win the title. That's my prediction. I'll go Cameron Dodds. I'm going to go for... I'm gonna go for McLaren on the constructors. David, no. I'm sorry, it's not happening, David. It's not happening. It'd be nice, but I'm not good at this game. So I'm not winning anything. Anyways, I've just about come up to the hour mark now. So I think it's a good point to end this off. Red Bull to win the award for first ever team to score 0 in the constructors. Red Bull Can you shut up saying Red Bull constructors? We're not. We're gonna score 0, like Adam said. We're the charity team. We're here to do some fundraising. And randomly appear in fourth place at some random race, cause massive issues for the title, annoy people despite not doing anything wrong, and just be that team. Dempsey World Drivers' Championship. I don't think Drake's going to turn up enough to win, but you never know, he could prove me wrong. I said this last season, and I was correct. I said it the season before, and he retired halfway through the season, so again I was correct. My brain is like just absolute waffle. I can't actually predict stuff. But anyways, thank you all for watching this 1 hour waffle session, also known as the Steam / Origin / Xbox ERO Season 9 grid reveal. Hopefully you don't want to shoot me dead after seeing your placements. And hopefully, I guess maybe you're happy with your placement. I don't know. If you're not, then give me £5 and I'll move you. I won't move you because I can't do that. But anyways, thank you all for watching and goodbye.